Back on, ladies and gentlemen, even as Antony Blinken likened 7/10 to 26/11, the Hamas to Boko Haram and the Lashkar and the ISIS, the larger question is, how are these entities getting the kind of funds to amass the kind of weaponry and weapon systems that they have? And the answer lies in cryptocurrency. Encrypted currency that is supposed to be protecting identities and also transactions, but that's being used perhaps to fund the biggest narco and terrorist operations across the world. How big is this crypto menace? Intel sources informing CNN News 18 via our group editor security Manoj Kumar Gupta. Crypto transactions are being seen on the darknet for terror funding. Cryptocurrency is being used for assigning terror tasks, assigned from country where crypto oversight mechanism isn't very strong. Terror groups are using crypto exchanges for instant money transfer. 90% of the narco business is done via cryptocurrency, and it's being used due to decentralization and anonymity features. Cryptos are being used mostly by new radicals as they are tech savvy, and in a few recent cases of ISIS, crypto payback has been used. Now the Hamas and crypto donations, the Big in India think tank has these following observations, and this is under consideration. We are given to understand between the US and the Israeli governments to try and collaborate and clamp down. Hamas and Palestine Islamic Jihad using crypto and digital assets to evade US sanctions. Amount of crypto funds for Hamas have spiked. The attacks and before $873,000 in Tether as Binance blocked by Israel across 100 plus accounts, and Israel more than 200 crypto accounts are still under the lens. Hamas received approximately $41 million in donations since August 2021, and all of these monies have been transferred using the crypto route. Actual donation considering invisible funds is pegged at nearly $100 million, and this has put multinational crypto exchanges under scrutiny. US is actually mulling to categorize crypto mixers as national security threats. Joining us, Kobbi Shoshani, Israel's Consul-General to Midwest India, Deepak Kapoor, cybersecurity expert and also founder of the Big in India think tank, and Sushant Sareen, senior fellow ORF. Namaste, gentlemen. Thank you very, very much for your time. Mr. Shoshani, is this true? Is crypto under scrutiny, the kind of money that's coming in, where it's coming from, and also the flow into entities like the Hamas and the Hezbollah?
Good evening, Anand. You're absolutely right, and your words in the beginning was accurate in such a way. The war against terrorism, against brutal terrorism activities like we saw in Israel in the last 2 weeks, it's military, intelligence, and financial. And in this case, I have to say something which I don't know if you know. We know about this cryptocurrency axis for many, many months before the event 2.5 weeks ago. Our Minister of Defense did the utmost to locate and to find out, along with collaboration with other countries, the IP of this axis. Unfortunately, we closed, and you mentioned the numbers, and I will tell you in a very frank way, we closed around $2 million. That's it. The rest transferred in a very, very, the amount was very, very high through crowd funding, and sometimes it's undercover. To open such an account without any possibility to know who is the source and where is the target, it's very, very difficult, and we need a cooperation from all over the world. But right now we try to do our best, along with our legal system as well, how to find out more and more channels of this cryptocurrency transfer, and we will close them one by one. But for that, we need a cooperation with the international community.
But is there any technology that can source if there is cooperation and multilateral cooperation, Mr. Kobbi Shoshani? I know the US and Israel are working together, we're given to understand, but there are Russian exchanges involved. And this kind of money, because accounts can be opened and closed within minutes. So where the money goes, it's a labyrinth.
the money is it's a big challenge to the world in a very big word, I have to say. It's coming to crime, it's coming to brutal terrorist groups, and it actually brings a lot of black money into the market. And it's not only the war of Israel in this field, it's a global war, and you have to understand, and we have to understand that this is a big challenge. We need cooperation, we need the legal advice and with the legal support to fight against this part of terrorism, which is sometimes by bits and a binary transfer. This is something that we have to understand how to work with it. Of course, it's not an easy task. Definitely, this is the vein of blood or money into this terror, criminal or other organizations which they are against the world. For that, again, I would like to say, global cooperation is the most important thing that right now we need to do.
More complex than the 500-kilometer odd tunnel network that the Hamas operate out of in Gaza. Deepak Kapoor, how can this be? You've been able to unearth this. Is there a way to crack this? Is there a way to stop the source, that is the funds? And if it can be the Hamas, Deepak, why not the Lashkar? Why not the ISIS? Why not the Al-Qaeda? Why not entities closer home? Deepak, can you hear me? We'll try and get Deepak Kapoor back. Sushant Sareen, the question to you too.
Yeah, so look, at one level,
Mr. Shoshani just asking Mr. Sushant Sareen to make his comment, and I'll come back to you, sir. Yes, Sushant.
Yeah, so Anand, at one level, you know, the cryptocurrency being used for terror finance, for money laundering, for all kinds of other dubious activity adds, several layers of complexity over this particular form of finance for illegal activity. That's true. On the plus side, however, it also leaves a trace. Now, Mr. Shoshani is right that that trace is only possible if you get cooperation. And that is where you enter into a much more complicated problem. When you have states like Qatar, for example, Turkey, in some cases Russia, actually supporting some of these groups or turning a blind eye or not cooperating, then the problem becomes magnified many times more, right? It becomes manifold. So that is the other problem. But I think the other way of working around it is that, and the Israelis are very good at it. In fact, they are among the leaders in trying to track down cryptocurrency. But without cooperation, they will very often hit a dead end. But I think the other way of looking at it is that money has to ultimately come into the hands. It has to come in as hard currency, so that it can be used for the purchasing of things. It can be used for paying your soldiers. It can be used for a variety of activities. So that could be one possible way that you start tracking it back to where it was coming from. And the second is that ultimately you have to go and buy stuff with it, and you will buy stuff with it in the arms bazaars, from arms dealers and stuff like that. So that could be yet another way that you could try and track this down. But I think it's a no-brainer that it adds many layers of complexity to an already wicked problem.
But Mr. Shoshani, you agree that unless this crypto menace is stopped, along with, of course, the narco route, funding for terrorist organizations will continue. This is the new age of the radical funding.
This is our new war against terrorism, definitely. But I have to tell you something. In order to build up a tunnel in such a massive distance, like the tunnels that we see in Gaza, it's a completely full city under the ground. It costs money.
Yeah.
And some of the people giving money sometimes for the good deeds, let's call it like that, sometimes to help hospital in Gaza, sometimes to help kids in Gaza, sometimes for medical services. And this money, the tension sometimes is a very positive tension, but eventually these terrorists take this money, it's undercover, and take this money, and instead of buying medicine, instead of buying build up the hospital, instead of giving water and try to make more work to the people of these places, they are taking this money to the tunnels and to the missiles and to the ammunition. And this is something that we have to fight against it in a very sophisticated way. You're absolutely right.
So, yes, quickly, sir. I've just got 20 seconds more. Yeah. So
yeah, very, very quickly. Look, number one, anybody who wants to do charity to hospitals and, for other welfare activity doesn't really need to send money through crypto, first and foremost. Secondly, given the kind of construction which we are now getting to know has been done under Gaza, somebody took the eye off the ball in the sense that kind of cement, the kind of other stuff which you need to do that level of construction, if you start tracing that back, you might be able to figure out how and who was funding this. Who
was funding this entire thing. But is there, okay, winding up on that note, ladies and gentlemen, leaving you with this thought, and we'll continue this course of investigation in the days to come. Thank you to our guests. That is it possible that it was never translated into the currency that we know? It's all being done still in crypto. Big challenge there. Thank you for watching. Brass Tacks with Zaka follows.